You've come out, and yes, you have a concession on cars. You have a flat tariff still of 10%. Are you disappointed with that? Is this just the start?
This was supposed to be the moment. The press conference, the flashing cameras, the Prime Minister standing tall, ready to sell the image of a landmark trade deal. He appeared confident, polished, almost triumphant. But then Beth Rigby posed a question. Within seconds, the illusion shattered. What followed was no longer a press event. It became a slow-motion political unraveling. One question after another landed, and you could hear the hesitation in his voice, see the panic in his eyes, watch the shift from victory to damage control. He forced a smile. He tried to spin the narrative, but Beth refused to let go. So what did she ask? What was he concealing? And how did the man who promised bold transformation end up defending a 10% tariff as though it were a prize? Is he masking humiliation while still bowing to Trump? Let's find out.
Back in February, when you did a press conference with Donald Trump in the White House, he said, we could end up with a real trade deal where tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. Those were Donald Trump's.
Trump, the man Starmer quietly despises, showed more faith in Britain's trade potential than Britain's own Prime Minister, and Beth knew it. She didn't ask a question. She delivered a punchline. His deal was dead on arrival, and she came with evidence. Trump promised 0. Starmer returned with 10% and tried to brand it as progress. You could almost hear the ego deflate. It was a stage set for public humiliation, and Starmer walked right into it.
And to those voters last week in the local elections that gave you the worst ever vote share you've had in a set of elections as a Labour Party, what's your message?
This wasn't just a question from Beth Rigby. It was a public dissection, a political autopsy carried out live. And the subject on the table was Labour's soul. Cold, rigid, unrecognizable. Labour didn't merely lose, it flatlined. Not a stumble, not a slip. This was a total collapse, a nationwide vote of no confidence, etched in bold red ink across every ballot box like an epitaph. A gravestone for Starmer's promises, a funeral for the direction he claimed to lead. And Starmer, he stood there like a man watching his home consumed by fire, not reaching for water, but applauding the flames.
Thank you.
Well, my message to them is that we absolutely get the message that they sent last.
No, Keir, you don't, because if you truly grasped the anger pulsing through those results, you wouldn't be standing there grinning like you just cut the ribbon on a community center. You'd be apologizing for betraying the people who believed in you, for selling fairy tales of change and delivering 10% tariffs and half measures instead. His calm tone is insulting. His words are an empty reflex. This isn't leadership. It's denial, wrapped in a suit that no longer carries the weight of public disappointment. Starmer wasn't shaken. He was scripted, and that's the deeper problem. He sees voter fury as something to manage, not something to resolve.
We will remain focused as ever on the national interest, and I have them in mind. I have the workforce here in mind when we make the decisions that we make. I don't make them for my sake. I make them on behalf of working people across this country.
This line is so hollow, it practically echoes. It deserves a laugh track and a slow clap from a room full of confused factory workers. Starmer stares into the camera and declares, I don't make decisions for myself. I make them for working people. Really, this is the same man who faced American trade negotiators, got steamrolled, then returned home draped in the Union Jack like an under-rehearsed actor in a low-budget World War II play. He didn't fight. He didn't negotiate. He didn't lead. He capitulated. And now he wants to stroll around factory floors, decked out in high-waist vests, pretending he's Churchill with a clipboard. The workers he claims to champion, they're not receiving policy. They're getting staged photo ops and empty promises. He talks about defending their interests. Yet every major decision, from trade deals to tariffs to industrial influence, proves the opposite. He doesn't make decisions himself because he's too afraid to take any real action. When the pressure rises, he hides, wrapped in symbols, surrounded by advisors, hoping the appearance of leadership will conceal the absence of courage. Before we continue, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive coverage of the major shifts reshaping British politics. Let's continue.
And in relation to this deal, yes, we would like to go further in relation to tariffs, but I think it's really important that we've been able to get this deal over the line now, because in that way we've been able to protect and save and enhance jobs right here, right now. And that reduction from 27.5% down to 10% makes a huge difference to firms like JLR and the decisions they have to make about the future.
Let's not sugarcoat it. This is Starmer admitting failure, then wrapping it in corporate-friendly spin, hoping the media won't notice. A 10% tariff on British cars isn't a stepping stone. It's not a strategic compromise. It's a concession, dressed as progress, a defeat served with a press release and a smile. And the example he chooses to showcase, Jaguar Land Rover, a British icon already struggling to survive in a fiercely competitive global market, a company that needed zero tariffs to compete with EU and Asian rivals. Now, because of this so-called deal, JLR faces a 10% surcharge on every vehicle exported to the US, and Starmer dares to claim this protects jobs. How? By making British manufacturing costlier and less appealing to investors, by giving German and Korean automakers an advantage while waving a small flag next to a struggling factory. This isn't an economic strategy, it's political triage. In a PR hospital trying to revive a corpse of credibility with empty slogans and shaky gestures. If this counts as a win for Starmer, one can only imagine what defeat would look like. But for workers in Birmingham and beyond, they don't have to imagine, they'll be living it.
Decisions that I want them to make about the future. Steel and aluminium obviously been in the news hugely in recent weeks, to get that down to 0% as well.
Let's break down the con. Sure, zero tariffs, but what about zero protections? The tax was removed, yet the back door remains wide open. Now cheap foreign steel can flood the UK market, and who pays the price? British steelworkers in port, Talbot, Scunthorpe, Redcar, real towns, real jobs. And Starmer, he's too busy congratulating himself for cutting protections like a model neoliberal.
Pharmaceuticals is one of the most important sectors in our economy, and therefore there's nothing to get down at the moment because there isn't a tariff, but if there should be, to already have got into a position of significantly preferential.
He openly admits there are no tariffs on pharmaceuticals, nothing to reduce, nothing to negotiate, nothing to gain. And yet somehow we're expected to applaud. We're meant to pretend this is a breakthrough, a strategic win, diplomacy. But the truth is, this isn't policy, it's theater. When there's nothing of real value to present, you reach for the nearest industry with a polished PR image and throw in the word preferential. That's exactly what this is. No new investment, no regulatory changes, just smoke and mirrors. With Starmer grinning as if he's reinvented trade. This is what you say when substance runs dry, but you still need a soundbite for the 6 o'clock news. It's filler, it's fluff, it's Starmer.
So I measure this by the reactions of those that are most affected by the tariffs, which is the workforce here, it's those in pharmaceuticals, those that are working in steel and aluminium.
Which workforce? Exactly. Name one. This is Starmer's trick. He uses working people as a human shield to dodge real scrutiny. If anyone challenges the deal, he acts as if you're attacking some anonymous factory worker he never asked. But here's the reality. No factory employee is celebrating a 10% tariff. No steel mill is cheering a flood of American imports. He's faking agreement and doing it poorly.
But look, there's a huge ambition here. There's a lot in the deal about tech. We are two of the leading economies on tech. There's a huge amount we can do on tech as well. So we want to go further, in those areas and on tech.
When all else fails, just say tech and hope it sounds clever. But trade deals aren't about buzzwords. They're about concrete terms. This isn't Silicon Valley, it's Sunderland, it's South Wales, it's Sheffield. There's no tech lifeline for the millions whose industries have just been undercut. He's waving a hologram while the factory floor gets bulldozed. Trade deals aren't crafted in TED Talks. They aren't about abstract futures or digital dreams. They're about conditions, jobs, tariffs, steel, cars, real things in real places. Sunderland, South Wales, Sheffield, people waking each day, unsure if their factory will survive until Christmas. There's no tech sector lifeline for the man in Rotherham whose foundry is shutting. No digital rescue for the woman in Coventry watching her role outsourced.
Keeping our red lines absolutely in place on SBS and on food standards and agricultural standards, because that matters so much to us here.
That's the hill Keir Starmer chose to die on. After waving the white flag on auto tariffs, surrendering steel leverage, and letting entire industries twist in the wind, he expects applause because he stood firm on cucumbers. This is where he draws his red line, not on jobs, not on sovereignty, not on tariffs, crucial to British manufacturing survival, but on symbolic agricultural rules. This isn't leadership, it's performative politics masquerading as principle. He holds up food standards like a shield, hoping the public won't notice he traded away the real economic fight and kept the one thing that makes an easy BBC talking point, because let's be honest, protecting chickens looks great on a leaflet. But ask the steelworker whose mill is shutting or the auto plant reconsidering its UK expansion. Would they rather have competitive trade terms or a promise that their lettuce won't be rinsed in chlorine? Starmer's trade philosophy seems to be keep the salad clean, let the country rot. If your idea of toughness is defending lettuce while surrendering everything that builds national strength, you're not a leader. You're a coward hiding behind salad leaves, hoping no one notices the factory going dark behind you. What do you think? If a 10% tariff counts as success, what does failure look like under his leadership? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this is how he handles power, how risky would it be to give him more? Do you want to watch more videos like this? If yes, please like, share, and subscribe for updates on British politics and the changes shaping it. Until the next video, stay tuned.